Hey y'all, we're taking a look at some models of the eye, and we also have some preserved sections of ox eyes over here. So let's compare all these different features that we can see. First, let me point out that we have two eyes here, obviously. You can see here's the nasal bone, here's the lacrimal bone. Lacrimal bone's deeper in. This is part of the maxilla and the frontal bone. So this is the medial portion of the eye. This should make this the right eye. This is the right eye. Here's the zygomatic bone. So this is lateral, this is medial. This is the right eye. This one I can tell is the left eye. How do I know that? Take a look at this muscle on top here. This is actually just the tendon of the muscle, and it's cut off. It should be extending medially. Underneath, you've got another muscle that attaches on the underside, and it's cut off here. It would also extend medially. This is the inferior oblique, and here's the superior oblique, and they attach medially, so this would be the left eye. So we've got one of each eye represented here. Different models, obviously different sizes, but they show the same basic features. Well, except this one because it shows more bone structure. So let's take a look at this one first. The term for eyelid is palpebrae. I can't even remember. Palpebrae. Palpebrae. Someone should spell check me on that. But these are the palpebrae. This muscle that attaches to the upper eyelid, we can open and close our upper eyelid. To close our lower eyelid, we'd have to squeeze the orbicularis oculi. But to blink with our upper eyelids, we use this muscle. This muscle is the levator labii superioris. It's this slender one on top. There's two shown here, the slender one on top. Levator palpebrae superioris. It lifts the upper eyelid. That is controlled by the oculomotor nerve, cranial nerve 3. You can see some tear glands, lacrimal glands. That's a type of eccrine gland, or merocrine, I should say. It's a type of merocrine gland. The tear ducts drain into the nasal cavity. So if you ever tear up a lot, you might notice that your nose runs. A lot of those tears are exiting through your nasal cavity. If we take this off, the cornea should be continuous with the sclera. The white part's the sclera. This is the cornea. It's better shown over here. Sclera. The clear one is the cornea. Let's take this off because it's not secure. But what else you can see? We can see the muscles very clearly. You've got your medial rectus, inferior oblique. You can see it's going off. It's going off to the side. Inferior rectus is hiding behind here. We can see it better from the back. Inferior rectus. And then the superior rectus is not this one. This was the levator palpebrae superioris. This is the superior rectus. Those four that I mentioned, superior rectus, medial rectus, inferior rectus, and inferior oblique, those are all also controlled by the oculomotor nerve. Oculomotor nerve controls a lot. It controls the levator palpebrae superioris. It controls the superior rectus, medial rectus, inferior rectus, and inferior oblique. It also controls the muscle that's found here in the iris. This is pupillary muscle. Pupillary muscle, which changes the size of this hole, the pupil, is also controlled by the oculomotor nerve. So when you shine a light on your eye, your pupil should get smaller. That's controlled by the oculomotor nerve, that pupillary reflex. The other muscles, those are 4 of the 6 extraocular muscles. The superior oblique is an interesting one. You can see here, let me remove this so you can better see it. You can see the attachment point of the tendon. The tendon then loops through a little hole here in the bone. This little hole is known as a trochlea, and it loops through, and then here's the muscle. So the superior oblique muscle comes up and then comes around, across. This is the superior oblique. It goes through this little trochlea. So what controls this muscle is the trochlear nerve. Trochlear nerve, cranial nerve number 4, controls superior oblique. So when this contracts, it's going to turn your eye up and in. The lateral rectus is controlled by the abducens nerve number 6, because it helps you abduct your eye. That means you can look outwards. So I've removed the superior rectus and the lateral rectus. Now we can better see the optic nerve, cranial nerve number 2. The optic nerve, where it exits out of the eye, that's known as the optic disc, which we'll actually see better when we open up the eye. I mentioned that the outer portion of the eye, the white of your eye, that's the sclera. The clear part in front is the cornea. Both the sclera and cornea are part of the fibrous tunic, the outer protective layer of the eye. The cornea also helps with refracting light. If you have a misshapen cornea, that can lead to conditions like astigmatism, where things in certain parts of your field of view appear distorted. If we make a horizontal cut of the eye, remove this layer, we can see the next layer in. This is the choroid tunic. Choroid tunic. Like the choroid plexus of the brain, we have a network of blood vessels. The choroid tunic has a network of blood vessels. You've got a lot of vascularity to feed the eye. Choroid tunic. Once again, you've got the pupil, that's the hole. You've got the iris, where you have pupillary muscle. If we open this up, if you open up this way, we can see this disc right here, which was hiding behind the pupil. When light shines through, it goes through the cornea, then it goes through the pupil, which is the hole, through the lens. This is the lens. The cornea is fixed, but we can change the shape of the lens. We can change the shape of the lens. We can change the shape of the lens because it's attached to these muscles. These hair-like looking muscles, they look like the underside of a mushroom. This is the ciliary body, and the muscles are ciliary muscles. The ciliary muscles attach to the lens, and it can change the shape of the lens. And that allows you when you change the shape of your lens, that's how you focus on different things. Like if you focus on this pen from far away or closer up, you'd actually focus with your own eyes. That's called accommodation, and you're changing the shape of the lens with your ciliary muscles. Ciliary muscles are also controlled by the oculomotor nerve. So the lens, this is the border, that's the border of the anterior chamber. The posterior chamber is filled not quite with fluid. There is fluid surrounding this stuff, but this is a gelatinous substance known as vitreous body. Vitreous body helps maintain the pressure of your eye, and it pushes the retina, this thing back here, pushes the retina and secures it to the back. If there's not enough pressure, that can lead to a detached retina. If you have too much pressure, that's what glaucoma is, and it can cause damage to the cells back here. When you focus light with your lens through accommodation, it focuses light to the very back center. This point here, that's known as the fovea centralis. Well, this whole region, the central region, is known as the macula, but the very, very center of the macula is the fovea centralis. When you foveate on something, when you focus on something, you're bringing light, focusing light with the lens to that one point. You still have light coming to all these other parts, and so you can still see things with your peripheral vision. It's just not going to be as in focus as the things you're staring at. And where you're staring at things, this is where you have the highest concentration of cones, that photoreceptor that's good for color vision and for high acuity, for seeing things really clearly. There is one part of your eye that does not have any photoreceptors, and this is known as the optic disc. I mentioned this a second ago. The optic disc is where your optic nerve exits. So you can't have photoreceptors there because that's where the nerve exits. The optic disc is formed from axons of ganglion cells. Ganglion cells exit out this way. So that's what forms the optic disc, your quote-unquote blind spot. When we see things in our own vision, we don't see our blind spot normally, but it does exist. Our brain is clever and fills in the gaps for us. But if you put something in your field of view in just the right way, and it's a small enough dot, then you can make something disappear. Take a look at the internet. I'm sure you can find something, a way to test yourself on that if you'd like. All right, those are all the different parts of this model, and let's just quickly look at the same things on this model as well as our ox eye. Here's the cornea. You can see the cornea, that translucent part that's been cut in half right here, that's the cornea. Light passes through the cornea, through the pupil. The pupil is the hole. Here's the iris, which has pupillary muscles. The lens is in here. You've got your superior oblique, you've got your inferior oblique, you've got your inferior rectus, lateral or medial rectus, superior rectus, and your lateral rectus. Sclera, cornea. Open this up. This is the choroid tunic. It's got lots of blood vessels. Open that up. Got your vitreous body and your lens. If you look on the other side, you can see our, the iris is up here with the pupillary muscles, but all of this back here, oops, sorry. All of this back here, this is the ciliary body with ciliary muscles to control the shape of your lens for accommodation. And then in the back of the eye, we've got our retina. This is meant to be the macula with the fovea centralis. And then here's the optic disc where the axons of the ganglion cells exit the eye to form the optic nerve. You can see again the cornea, the hole is the pupil, the iris is what's surrounding it. Inside, can't see it very clearly, but there's ciliary body around that hole. You can see the lens. The lens is right there, and ciliary body would be surrounding it. In the back here, you can see the optic disc leading to the optic nerve. And here are the muscles of the eye. This is from a posterior view, so you can see the optic nerve here, superior oblique, inferior rectus, lateral, superior, medial rectus muscles. All right. Those are features of the eye that I would like you to know. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.